Hey guys, it's Greg here on the Vinyl Rundown. Got a very interesting guest to speak with today. All the way from Switzerland is drummer Florian Arbenz, who's going to talk to us about some of his recent projects. Florian, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. Great to meet you.
Great. Good to see you. And I'm very impressed that our technology is working from Los Angeles all the way to Switzerland without any glitches so far. So let's see how this goes. So Florian reached out to me on Facebook a couple of weeks ago and told me about a new record that he just came out with. So we'll get to that. We'll talk about his new record with Greg Osby. But Florian is considered, some people have said, he's one of the top jazz drummers in Europe, which is a great accolade. There's a lot of great jazz happening in Europe that us Americans maybe don't get to see or know that much about. Greg Osby's American, obviously, right? He's from, where's he from? New York or Philly?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Florian, you've been playing drums for a long time. Anything special that got you into playing the drums? How did the early days of your drumming get started?
You know, I grew up in a very musical family, like a couple of us musicians, I think. My parents were like classical musicians. My father played the piano, my mother cello. And I have a twin brother, actually. So we spent most of our childhood by playing music, like hitting the piano and stuff. So, but I remember when I was like 4 years old, I heard for like the first time really like drums in the music school, and I remember that I was really fascinated by this whole visual thing and the whole groove and rhythm. So yeah.
I'm sorry, which artist did you see?
Just in the regular performance in the school. It was nothing specific, but
the drums. Okay. Drum playing.
Yeah, right.
That's a good influence. You know, that's how my son got started in saxophone. He went to the middle school concert and he said, "I want a baritone sax." And I said,
"Yeah.
You don't start on baritone sax. It's too expensive." But that's great that the schools in Europe probably do a good job of keeping music alive, and the classical is so much bigger in Europe than it is here.
Very deep.
Did you study at any conservatory or music school, or did you go into classical versus percussion versus jazz?
I think was actually kind of a later on kind of a difficult decision at that time when I grew up. I mean, like the school thing, jazz-wise, was not really developed, especially in Switzerland. But I mean, I was lucky in several things. I mean, I first of all, I had my brother to play music with, which this was kind of an easy thing. And then we went quite a bit to different concerts. That's actually where I heard Greg Osby the first time as a teenager, playing with Jack DeJohnette in the special group. And that was quite impressive. Still remember this gig.
You got to see Jack DeJohnette come to Switzerland and Greg Osby?
Yeah. We had a very good kind of promoter for a very good festival, so there was a lot of music happening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really known as a center for really music city kind of. So
that's great. You probably have better jazz than we do in Los Angeles, even though we're the capital of the music business.
Yeah, I have no idea actually. Yeah. But everything is so close in Europe. So I mean, those tours, those guys, they came, they came through Basel all the time. I mean, I heard like Dizzy Gillespie, Lester Bowie. I mean, all the guys. I mean, like everybody came through. So yeah,
that's great. That's great.
But we didn't have this kind of jazz vibe in the city. So I mean, finally, I decided to study classical music because we had a really great teacher in Basel. So this really kind of fascinated me. The music was one thing, but also kind of the personality of the teacher, which was really kind of one of the big classical percussion guys from this time. So at the end, I studied classical music, but On the other side, the bass player of the Kurt Leitzi trio was living in Basel. And Kurt Leitzi had a trio with Famadou Domoye on the drums from Chicago Art Ensemble. And they hung in Basel all the time because they had like 3 days and they had like stuff going on and recording. So I was really lucky that I could hang with those guys and kind of study on the street like the more or less like the old guys with Moye and with Leitzi, and at the same time I had kind of this classical education. So it was quite.
Are there well-known jazz or even classical composers coming out of Switzerland? Because I'm not sure I can name any. Besides you, I can't name too many Swiss musicians.
I mean, Jojo Meyer, maybe he's a Swiss guy, like the drummer, like he lives in New York for a long time. Nerf. I mean, we had some older generation like Daniel Lumer, very kind of famous drummer in Europe. And I mean, it's a small country at the end.
I know it's the size of Los Angeles, but you've got all of Europe all around you.
Yeah, right.
So you started playing jazz professionally or with your own group? What was your first projects working as a jazz musician?
Yeah, I started quite soon playing with the Swiss guys, but I mean, my first really kind of really great thing was when Famadou Domoye couldn't come for a gig, and Kurt Leitzi asked me to join in, and so this was kind of my first really happening thing.
Lucky break.
Yeah, you're right.
Was that a club or a auditorium type show, or was it a festival?
It was a festival, yeah.
No.
I had to jump in, of course, without rehearsal, but it was really kind of a big experience for me. And I kind of did good, so he kept asking me for joining him. And we had a trio expanded with Benny Maupin from time to time. When he came to Europe, he lives in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, I think I saw him in the audience at a concert just down the street here. So he's a name that us Americans know pretty well.
Yeah, and I mean that was
great
really
guy.
A thing for me. And the other thing was back in 96, 97, I heard Greg Osby playing at the Sweet Basil at this time in New York. I was really impressed, and at that time there was no internet, so I just with my brother sent him a CD and asked him if he wants to join us for a tour, and he said yes. So we started collaborating in '98, and still are kind of collaborating together. So it's kind of a really long relationship.
That's about when I started listening to Osby. The mid '90s, he was on this JMT label. Do you remember that thing?
Yeah. And he had this band in New York, recording out in '98. Just when he, I
don't know if I have that one on my shelf here. I only have a few of my CDs here, but so that's interesting that you've been with him all this time. And he agreed to work with you right off the bat, so that's great.
I think in the jazz scene, I was doing a lot of music in this time in the classical scene, and I mean the big names. It was kind of impossible to get even in touch with them because they played the gig, and after that they disappeared in their Rolls Royce and never were seen again until the next gig. And for me, this is really was a big thing that musicians of like the highest level, it was really possible to get in touch with them. And also as a little Swiss student, and of course we maybe had kind of a different approach, and Osby kind of like that. And he is a guy, he loves to be challenged while playing, and he loved to have like different people around him with different kind of views on the world and everything. But still, also with Benny Maupin, I mean, he is like on so many like big important recordings, and then I just drop him a letter or mail, and he just says yes. And 2 weeks later, he's here, and it's
he's
so
he's on Bitches Brew.
Yeah,
which they're coming out with a special edition of that this week. I noticed, and that's like the first big record that most Americans would know of him. So did you put out any records with either Benny or Greg Osby during that period?
Yes, actually,
we might be able to know about.
Yeah, I put the first one out as a leader when I was like 23 years old or something like this. So it was kind of challenging, but yeah, I mean, I actually just found a couple of them, and I like 20 or 30. So I might put them on Bandcamp soon, just to, because I think it's a.
Well,
I mean,
show us any records that you want to talk about, because my viewers love talking records. I know you'll show us your new records at the end. Later on.
Yeah, I mean, we can start with this one I just did with Osby.
I'm gonna pull back the camera so we can see it a little better. So this is the brand new record with Greg Osby on saxophone.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about this is it's a collaboration and improvisation with a visual artist.
Right.
And tell us a little bit about that artist and his name, especially, that I can't pronounce.
Yeah. Actually, he's called Stephan Spicher, and he's one of the Spicher, of the really known. He is like 70 years old now, and he's one of the kind of known and very appreciated painters of Switzerland. He did a lot in Russia and in Asia, and we are friends for maybe 20 years, and we're always talking about rhythm and collaborations and stuff, but we never really got to the point to do something. And when he showed me like a new series in his studio about these 2 lines, I was suddenly thinking, yeah, this is it. 2 lines, 2 musicians, you know. So
does 2 lines mean he's painting with two hands, or or what?
Oh, no, with one. There is a video on Facebook, on my Facebook page. So we did like kind of a live video with him. So
we could show a little bit of that, but if the music comes out, it's gonna mess things up here. Let's see if I can find it. But keep chatting while I look for the video.
Yeah, it's called Wooden
Now,
Line.
was he a jazz fan?
Yeah, I mean, actually, he comes out of the Woodstock generation, but yeah, he's a jazz fan, and he is above all kind of energy fan. He likes very much like energy. He likes lines. He likes nature. So. How can I explain? He's kind of loving organized chaos, and I mean it's kind of very close to what we jazz musicians sometimes do, I think. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's improvisation, and why can't visual artists improvise with musical artists? I'm having trouble finding the video. Bear with me here. Yeah. I can't find it. It's
Wooden Lines.
It's on the Osby Arbenz Osby page.
No, it's actually on YouTube.
Oh, YouTube. Yeah, I've heard of that too. I'll get to that. Give me a few seconds. So I've got the other window searching for that.
Okay.
So the project that you did with him, it's an extended piece of music. Is it several little songs, or is it one big?
Actually, it's several songs, and I tried, or we with Greg, we tried to have like several different approaches to this kind of line thing, because I think I tried also to have like my whole percussion set up, which I had in my mind from the classical music, like different sounds, different things. So it was kind of trying to have different angles on this point of view, not just one big piece. So at the end, we recorded 7 pieces, all with a kind of a different approach and a different vibe, but always with the theme of those 2 lines. Yeah.
I have Reflections of the Eternal Line. Is that sounds like what we're talking about? I'm sorry I didn't have this queued up before. This piece, I don't want to play the music if it's going to get me a copyright hit. You know what I mean? If the record company is going to come in and get annoyed with us, what do you think?
I'm the record company, so
okay. You'll let us play some of this without taking down the video. That just happened to me last week, and I was shocked that a small artist. So let me mess with this, and I don't know if I can make the sound come or not. I wanted to show the visual aspects because this shows him painting. Now he's reacting to you painting. I'm sorry, he's painting to your music, or you're playing music to his painting, or both?
I mean, it's both. It's actually a kind of it's like a trio. I mean, first of all, I have to say, I mean, Greg, he's a really open-minded human being, really open-minded musician. So we really tried to have kind of a trio vibe. And I mean, Stephan, he has a big energy when he paints. So I must say it was a really kind of inspiring session, because it was not just making music and just trying to listen to each other, but we also could watch Stephan painting, and then we had kind of a real cross-genre thing happening there. And I must say it took us to some places where we didn't expect, I'm sure. And when you look at Stephan's painting, it's the same. They really look kind of different. So it was kind of a really nice vibe. I really loved it.
This is the actual recording of the actual.
That's right. Yeah.
Piece, and that piece of art ended up as the cover.
That's right. Yeah. That's it. I mean,
it's one piece of art, or did he do several pieces of art that got packaged in
here? He did actually several pieces, but the one he did here, this is one which is up here on the cover. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very nice. I like the art, but it doesn't look like from the angle you can see his art that well. He can hear you great, but it doesn't look like you're like looking at his art, right?
Yeah. Actually, we work now on a version we can do live with a big screen and just see how the painting starts to grow. So this is our next goal, actually, to have a kind of a live setting where we can have the whole thing together.
This is a great type of improvisation where you bring in a visual artist, and I can only think of maybe one other example when I've seen it done. It's not really a whole genre, because not that many people are doing it, right? I mean, I think it's are there other examples of artists and musicians that you're aware of that inspired this at all?
I mean, of course. I mean, for me, my main thing I know and really love is the Jackson Pollock stuff. I mean, it's quite known. He played to Charlie Parker and to other music, and just. But above all, in this setting, I'm also just kind of interested to interact with some really strong characters and strong human beings. So interacting with Greg is one thing, but interacting with Greg and Stephan just like as human beings already is kind of special for me. So
part of it is just the energy of being with somebody that creative.
Yeah.
And feeding off each other's energy.
Right. And I mean, sorry?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to click a button and make the music come. But
okay.
You keep talking. It'll take me
great
30
thing
seconds.
For me is like the duo setting isn't interrupted, because if you have like 3 musicians interacting, it's already kind of complicated because you have to listen to both of them. But like this, it's 3 characters, human beings interacting, but the music is still kind of a communication between 2, and the other thing is kind of a metaphysic, I don't know, vibe. We have all 3 together, which is not I mean, it's inspiring us, but it's not the music which is You know what I mean? I mean, like the two musician thing is staying, so it's just expanded by something.
It's adding another dimension.
Yeah, that's right. Really. Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, there's a recording of what happened. There's a visual of what happened, and there's a video. So there's really three different ways to peek in on this artistic development.
Yeah.
Now let's see if the music is going to come here, because I'm my own producer and engineer host, so this might not work. Let's see if I can make this work.
Yeah.
I don't hear any music.
Me neither, actually.
Oh, I have to go back to YouTube and turn on the music. What do you think of that?
Oh, yeah, unmute.
I'm going to go back to early in the piece, because we're at the end now. Nice percussion intro here.
Yeah. I try to include something.
So that's audio's coming okay through you? You can hear it good?
Fine, yeah.
Cannot hear?
Yeah, I can hear. Fine.
Oh, yeah. It's good. You're playing some melodic instruments there.
Yeah.
You tell me about that later. I don't want to interrupt the music too much. Okay, that's just a teaser, folks. You have to get the record if you want to hear the whole thing. But there's some good. There's at least one or two good videos of it online here. We can let the art go, but I want to be able to talk to you. So you're playing some instruments that seem melodic. What am I hearing there?
Yeah, this is something I'm really trying with this project to combine my background or my studies I had in the classical music and the drums and the groove. I mean, I always really liked the sounds of this, also of the contemporary classical music, because there is so much nice colors of percussion, but it's never used in this groovy context. So I really try to combine that, and I also think this is something. When I hear back to like drummers like Joe Jones or like Max Roach, I mean, there are so melodic drummers. So I really try kind of to refer to this kind of melodic stuff. Joe Morello is a very nice example for me as well. And then I try to expand it.
Morello from the Dave Brubeck era.
Very melodic drummer. Great drummer.
Well, there's tuning tom-toms, which is one thing where you tune your tom-toms to a pitch, but you have some kind of wooden box thing. Tell us what that is.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the other thing. The lack of bass just makes for me, and the lack of harmony too, makes for me like opens the possibility to use kind of instruments which have kind of a sound.
That thing, what is it? What is it called?
I mean, it's called lock drum. And I produced lock drum. I used 2 lock drums. One has like 2 bass notes, which I play with this really like a tennis ball kind of stick. And the other lock drum has like 7 different notes I can use, which are kind of tuned. This is one for one tune. You can see this big Balinese gong in the back of the drums. I used this one, has a very low, nice note. I use this one for another tune, which is more kind of a meditation kind of tune. And I also use different stuff like tuned kalimbas, like the African kalimbas, but I tune them so that I can like comp correct in the harmonies. So I think for me this is this nice thing about this duo. I really can be creative with instruments and sounds and whatever. And Greg is such a great player. He just reacts to it. It's really.
I like the idea of people getting away from, you must have a trio, you must have a quartet, you must have a bass, you must have two horns, opening up to different instrumentation, and especially sparse instrumentation opens up much more space for each musician.
I think so too. Yeah.
You're taking advantage of I have a lot of duo records, not a lot, but there's a handful that are really nice, like this pairing of, why didn't anybody think of that pairing? And you only have to pay two guys. It's good for everybody. Just kidding.
Yeah. And it's just difficult also, like playing duo or playing solo. I mean, the trio setup, we all know how to deal with that. That's our education. So that's what we always do, like, or with the horn, but then if you play duo, then you have to have like, I don't know, 3 times more kind of interesting concepts in your head or sounds or whatever to make it happening for the audience.
It means it puts a little pressure on the musician. It's a little freedom and a little pressure at the same time.
Yeah. Can be
before I forget, I have more stuff to promote for you. So let me get your Bandcamp. I was going to ask you also about the instrument. Maybe it's a different video where you play a stringed instrument.
Yeah.
With a drumstick. I've never seen that before. That wasn't in this project, I don't think. It was your other group?
Yeah, no, this is in this project. Yeah. Actually, this is something which becomes for me like more important in my life, but also in my musical life, that I really want to work with people I really like and respect. It doesn't matter what kind of people this or what business they do. And I have a very dear friend. He is an instrument drum maker, but he's also like an instrument inventor. So he always shows up with some different stuff. And he also built those boxes. He built my drums.
Really? Yeah, your drums look interesting. Also, like
yeah. So he did
a brand I hadn't seen before.
No, it's kind of custom made stuff. I use some natural skins which are like more warm in the tone, and some wooden rims. So it's kind of. And I was telling this friend about my project and telling him that I need some like low notes for the drums I can play with a stick, because I can't always change. I want to play drums, at the end. So he showed up with this kind of, it's like a bow with 2 bass strings on it. So I have just like 2 notes, and I'm using that for one tune with Greg. It's called Groove Conductor. It's also on the YouTube. We have a live version there.
Well, let's see if I can get to it.
Yeah, Groove Conductor.
So what was I going to say? So that's a custom-made instrument. You didn't buy that at the drum store.
No.
And does it have a name?
Oh, you can give it one. I have no idea.
I like to put words in front of things, as you can see.
Yeah.
So let's see. Groove Conductor. Oh my God, I can't even pronounce that name. Flegedach, is that the right one?
Yeah, right. This is very Swiss.
Is that the one, or is there or is this other one?
No, that's the one.
Okay. Boy, I can't. There's a good shot of it right there. A little music will be on here. Yeah, nobody can pronounce these Swiss words.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna mess with this. Wait, is this one gonna be a copyright problem?
No. Easy.
Okay, good. There it is. He just hit the big. I'm improvising now, pressing on my buttons.
That's good.
There it is. Good shot of it. I'm going to talk a little, though.
Yeah.
People can view that on their own. Yeah, the drums look very custom. So that instrument has 2 strings on it.
Yeah, right. And it just helps to give the thing Greg does a certain like bottom with the bottom notes, and it also helps to give the tune a certain character, which is really specific for this tune. And in the next tune we use some different ideas. So for the audience, we keep it kind of interesting.
But it's tuned to 2 different notes, or 1 note that you're just hitting?
No, it's 2 notes. Yeah.
So you can tune it whatever you want for different songs, and it's...
Yeah, right. It's like 2 bass notes. Yeah, right. And I can include it in my drum playing because I can play with the sticks, so it's kind of easy. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you ever experiment with hitting found objects, hubcaps, pieces of metal? Doesn't seem like you're doing that much.
I did, but everybody has his thing, and I think this object thing, there are already a lot of people doing that kind of, and so I'm right now looking for other kind of.
You've got custom made objects, and you've got a guy who can make you anything you want, so that's great.
So it's perfect. Yeah, I'm in a really lucky situation. That's right. Yeah.
Is he doing? What's his name, by the way?
He is called Thomas Weiss. And he has like a twice percussion, it's called.
Got it. I'll look him up. He sounds like an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me stop this. We'll get away from that because we heard some good stuff there. Control it. Okay, so the album is called Reflections.
Yeah, Reflections of the Eternal Line, it's called, yeah.
Of the Eternal Line.
Eternal Line.
Greg Osby on sax, and the artist, Stephan Spicher. Pretty good pronunciation. So that's available on your bandcamp.
Yeah.
So here's your bandcamp. But you have 2 other projects that are you're still featuring. One is a larger band called Convergence.
Yeah, right. We just actually released in summer another vinyl recording. This is the cover. And
it's pulled back.
The thing is we had a really kind of international lineup. I was studying half a year in Havana in Cuba, and it's really funny because this is another connection I made to Greg Osby and especially Steve Colman. Because during the 90s, Steve Colman was hanging there a lot. So there were some young cats, but really young, like from 15 to 18, something like this, completely into the M-bass stuff, completely checking out Osby and Steve Colman. And when I got there originally to study folklore, Cuban music, I hooked up with those guys. And 2 of them I met 2 or 3 years ago again in Madrid, because they live in Madrid right now, and we talked, and so we decided to finally set up something, and we were setting up. They are called Jorge Maikel Vistel. They're from Cuba, and
is that a Cuban Spanish word or a German Swiss word you just threw?
No, that's the real. They come from Santiago de Cuba. That's the real deal. It's nothing with Switzerland. And we ended up with Nelson Veras on guitar. He's a Brazilian guitar player. He lives in Paris, and when he came, he was kind of a protege of Pat Metheny, but he did his own way and has a really great approach he plays acoustic guitar. And we have an English vibes player, Jim Hart. He's doing really well, and he's also a great player. And the Australian bass player, Rafael Jerjen. So it's a really kind of international collaboration, but we all have kind of this love to kind of M-bass, kind of jazz history, but also to the classical music, because Steve Colman is really hooked up with this Messiaen kind of Olivier Messiaen systems of.
So let's back up for just a little bit for my viewers. Steve Colman, I have a bunch of his records, ECM in the probably 90s. M-Bass was his thing, his group.
M-Bass was the style he created, a collective he had with Gary Thomas, Greg Osby, Steve Colman.
Right. That's where I know Greg Osby from also. So Osby played with Steve Colman, and I can't remember Steve Colman's instrument, believe it or not. What is his main instrument? He's
an alto player as well. Yeah.
Sax player. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I have those records going back. That's 2 decades ago. So I barely remember, but yeah, I have to pull those out again. So you have the people, and you recorded this in Cuba or in the Americas?
No, we recorded it in Switzerland, believe it or not. But as Europe is so small, it was easy for everybody to come here. They all live in Europe, all those guys. And this is another thing I did just to be able to have ideas and to go quick. I have a music room, like a studio, where I have a very nice like grand piano and all my percussion instruments, and we really can record professionally there. So it's really easy to make those videos there. And then the recording, we also did some videos actually.
I was trying to get over to that, and my computer started acting strange. So
okay,
I may get to that. Give me a few seconds. So, Convergence, is that out on your own label again?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So on YouTube, you can find it as well.
Let's see. Maybe I go to YouTube. I notice you're the top of that picture there.
Yeah, right.
Six or seven guys. So that's
6 guys. Yeah, right.
You're the boss. That's your group.
But I'm not. I mean, the Vistels are writing music as well. I'm writing music. I'm more kind of collecting the people and organizing the whole thing. But it's more kind of a collective, actually.
Okay, I'm looking at this video called. Okay, here's a video we might want to show a few seconds of. Convergence introducing. Oh. I can't do 2 things at once here.
Right.
I have to click a lot of buttons, which is not easy for me.
Often is the
hey, wait a minute.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
You're talking rather than playing. I'm like, why is he talking over this? That's not you. That's the recording.
Yeah, right. I mean, you should have one like
yeah, this is great. This is great production on my part when I don't have the things ready to go. But you have so many projects I wasn't aware of. So I'll get to that. But so does Convergence tour on its own, or have you been able to tour during COVID?
Yeah. We tour, we play. Of course, now with the COVID-19 stuff, you can scroll down a bit and put maybe.
Oh, can you see what I'm doing here?
Yeah. I can see that. You can put Fast Lane, maybe. It's the other one.
Okay.
I mean, it's more kind of produced video, but this is like.
Okay, this button. Produced means maybe there's a record company that's going to get annoyed with me.
No, that's me.
That's you? Okay, that's just you. I'm very paranoid about these.
Yeah. I'm a self-made man, so don't worry.
I get the Steve Colman sort of driving force.
Yeah.
Intensity. It's not a laid back. It's
no. Yeah.
Pulsing.
Yeah, right.
Very nice. Who's trumpet player?
Jorge Vistel.
Vistel brothers.
Yeah, the Vistel brothers.
Vistel.
great player. Great.
All right, that's very nice too. So that record is also available from you on your Bandcamp?
Yeah, that's right. It's also on Bandcamp. Yeah, right. I mean, that's my thing I do right now, because I want to have ideas, and I want to be kind of ready when the ideas are hot and the musicians are hot. And, right now in Europe, talking to labels always means, yeah, we have a slot in 2 years. Yeah, let's see. So I want to be I want to be creative and inspired, and then I want to record and so I have a great team. They do really great recordings, and I have a great guy for the videos, and I have Bandcamp, so I just go for it,
So a lot of your stuff can come from your direct sales, direct label, and not have to go through a big record label. I mean, that's kind of right. The trend that how important are the big record labels if a musician is going to promote their own stuff and make all of the money instead of a tiny piece of the money, right?
Yeah, that's something I must admit I never was really, because I'm a really kind of, I have so many different ideas. So for the record labels, it's kind of hard to put me somewhere. So I never had the offer for a deal from Sony or Blue Note or whatever. So I can't say. I mean, I just do as it's also possible for me. I must say, I don't know the difference actually. So
well, if Sony or Blue Note came along, they're certainly going to give you lots of promotion.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no.
In return for that, they're going to take all the money for the first, a lot of the money up front and not pay you much. So it's a little trade-off. But jazz musicians usually can do both. Some pop musicians would not be allowed to, but like a jazz musician, okay, I'm going to do the side project.
Yeah, right.
So it's harder and harder, I think. Maybe it isn't, but is it harder to support jazz music?
Yeah.
We don't have live performances now, and make it all by sales.
Yeah, that's right. This is something, I mean, I was mentioning before, I'm happy to be in touch with great people. And instead of dealing with a company which just makes me crazy, I rather deal with
not so great people.
Yeah, or
you're dealing with record companies that are not so great.
Yeah, I prefer dealing with jazz fans, because they are great people, And since I'm doing the Bandcamp stuff, I'm having so much nice chats or whatever to like jazz fans all over the world, and I must say it's really great. And I also get in touch with musicians much more, which are also on Bandcamp, and we exchange and stuff. So it's kind of a community. And I must say, I mean, those guys being there, they're instead of just streaming for free the Spotify stuff, they're ready to support us artists. So I mean, it's a great thing. I really like it.
The internet is helping musicians get in front of the fans.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're not sure how important the record companies are at this point. I mean, they're important, but you can make a living being your own record company sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is good. And then they can't screw you and steal your masters and all that horrible stories that we keep hearing.
Yeah, and I mean, I love to be also like having like this collaboration with this great cover. I mean, we had for Stephan Spicher. I mean, it's great to just work with people and just tell him, design me a great thing for the cover, and then we are in a really positive vibe instead of always having to ask the boss if we are allowed to do it, or if it's too expensive or too cheap or whatever. I mean,
yeah, being your own boss is great, but then you run the risk of you either fail or you either success or fail on your own.
Yeah, that's right. But then I know that I fuck up at least.
But you can't fire no one can fire you but you.
Yeah, I can open some good wine and just,
That sounds nice.
Enjoy myself. That's fine.
if you ever come to Los Angeles, I hope I get to see your show and maybe
Yeah, that would be great.
maybe even meet you and stop by here in the
Yeah, that would be
outskirts of
great.
Los Angeles. I don't have any plans to come to Switzerland, but I've been
Yeah.
hearing great things. Switzerland is a very wealthy country, right? And it's very sort of educated and
But expensive too. I mean, it's like yeah.
you
But
have
it's
to bring a lot of francs and gold with you or something.
yeah, chocolate and watches and whatever. Yeah.
So someone in my family asked me an interesting question. Swiss is always neutral. They're the famous country that's neutral. They just hold on to the money. Does Switzerland have an army?
Yeah.
Or a military?
Yeah, we have an army.
Somebody said, if Switzerland, do they really use those Swiss army knives? Is that what is that? That's all Americans. It's all Americans know about Switzerland is they have these nice army knives.
It's really nice, but actually, I've never been in the army. I'm a peaceful person, so I just use them for the barbecue, maybe.
So you do have those army knives.
Yeah, of course, everybody has
famous
them,
the army knives and the watches and the chocolate and.
I will bring you an army knife when I come to LA.
And jazz, and now they have jazz too.
That's good. Yeah. Perfect.
Well, Florian, we've gone on here for almost 50 minutes. You've got 2 websites that we've shown our people. You've got your Bandcamp and the new record out, Reflections, and the Conversions. My brain is Conversions. So I hope I'll put the links below in the video here so my viewers can check that out. And unless there's anything else, it's about time to wrap this up. Unless you have any
great. No, I'm completely.
Comments.
Yeah, I have to go to bed anyway. It's late.
Oh yeah, it's late. I forgot. It's morning here, and it's bedtime in Switzerland. It's probably dark a long time ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Florian Arbenz, the great drummer from Europe, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll sign off then, Florian. All right.
Thank you, Greg. All the best.
Have a great day.
Thank you.